If you regularly frequent the fitness side of social media, you might have gotten the impression that everyone's goal is to look like an absolutely inflated scrotum person. You know, like 2% body fat, having to walk sideways to fit through doors. And you might be right, many people do want to do that. But I would dare to say that most people just want to have a good quality of life, be somewhat in shape, and be able to grow old without having too many problems. And that's where the jack of all trade training comes in, because the best way to work on your quality of life and fitness is to branch out in as many things as possible while still enjoying yourself. So today we're gonna go through some realistic goals you can set yourself to work on exactly that. Quality of life, overall fitness and health, instead of just working on hypertrophy and ignoring everything else your body is capable of. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. So let's begin with getting the simplest things out of the way first, starting with strength. When it comes to overall strength goals, we only need 2 exercises, and these 2 are already considered the kings of strengthening exercises when it comes to weighted work, being the classic deadlift and of course the classic full range of motion squat. But how far do you go with both of those without being a professional? Well, when it comes to squats, being able to squat your own body weight with good form, full range of motion, a handful of times is a pretty good indicator that you have reached a decent level of strength when it comes to your lower body, as well as a decent level of mobility for being able to sit down in a full squatting position. Which means that, of course, you will have noticed that for someone like me who barely weighs anything, this goal will be pretty easy to achieve. 60 kilos is nothing. As for deadlifts, doubling your body weight is a pretty good indicator that you are strong as fuck and part of 5% of the strongest people on the planet, which is why I recommend 1.5 times your own body weight as a complete goal is already more than enough. Not just because it's gonna help you build massive strength for your lower body all the way up to your core, but more importantly, for the strength benefits and the safety benefits and the reduction of injury benefits we can get for our lumbar spine. Because lower back problems are a bitch to deal with and is one of the most frequent problems we get as we grow older. Of course, while working classic Romanian deadlift style will help you target this area a lot more, what you can do for safety's sake is working with a sumo stance, which will make the movement a little bit shorter, which means that now you can work on a little bit more weight with good form, shifting the focus the slightest bit from your lower back down to your glutes and your quads, while still getting insane amounts of hamstring activation and spinal erector activation. As for our non-weighted strength, we will utilize the calisthenics king, which is the classic wide grip, overhand grip, pull-up, a very latissimus dominant exercise, not to be confused with the underhand grip, chin-up, which is more of a biceps dominant exercise. This will help you target some of the musculature you weren't able to with the deadlift and the squat, specifically our lats and our upper back musculature in the contraction phase, which we have none of when deadlifting. A lot of trap engagement, which is absurdly important when it comes to scapular control and positioning, going through abduction and adduction, as well as elevation and depression, upward rotation and downward rotation with our shoulder blades, which is another one of the worst problem zones that leads to a lot of injuries as we grow older. As for pushing exercises, we can simply use push-ups, and there is one that can combine both your chest and your shoulders and your arms in an amazing way, working not only on strength but also on flexibility, being the classic archer push-up, stretching our chest and our anterior delts, helping us a lot with shoulder mobility while working on our chest, shoulder and arm strength in conjunction. And there's even a super easy way to progress through it, starting with shorter range of motion assisted archers with our knees on the floor, working into a full range of motion archer, also assisted, moving up to classic archers raising our knees and then moving up to an elevated lower body, requiring even more strength, even more control, helping us build even more tension and increasing the flexibility bonus as well. As for our first pure quality of life exercise, you should hang yourself from a bar into a dead hang position every single day for the rest of your life, starting now. And I've talked about the benefits of dead hangs endlessly on this channel, with the most important ones being the massive amounts of decompression we can get for our upper body joints, already starting at our hands, moving through our elbows into our shoulders, and most importantly, decompressing our vertebrae, giving us some space to stretch the surrounding tissue, to release any sort of tightness you might carry there, and trust me, most people do. Not to mention that this will also help you get rid of that goblin posture you have trained yourself to naturally fall into. And if you have shoulder problems, there is very good scientific research showing that daily dead hangs can help people rehabilitate their shoulders even if they were very close to needing surgery, which you have to admit is pretty impressive for such a simple exercise. A good rule of thumb being able to hold yourself totally decompressed and relax for 60 seconds with both hands. And if you want to take it to the next level, I would even advise to work on holding for 60 seconds with a single hand, also getting even more decompression and even more stretch on the side you are working on, while helping you master grip strength. This video is sponsored by YouTube's VIP, which is you. You are YouTube's VIP, the most important person on this platform. And by liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and even watching the whole thing, you're doing real charity work. Because with one full view, you get to feed a middle-aged, middle-class Austrian man for up to 10 seconds. Now that would look really great on your humanitarian resume now, wouldn't it? As for our next quality of life and mobility goal, you have to be able to fully relax in a deep squat or resting squat position for a minimum of 5 minutes without having to engage any musculature. And this one is not even debatable. The amount of problems you can circumvent by just being able to resting squat is absolutely insane and would warrant 10 videos. Everything from improved ankle, knee and hip mobility to better digestion and healthier shits. It's all there, and it's all in the resting squat. If you cannot yet relax in this position, it is super easy to just elevate your heels, making it a lot less energy consuming and a lot less strength dominant to sit in this position. And over time, the more comfortable you become and the more you do your squats and your deadlifts and everything else on this checklist, you will be able to flatten your feet and sit down all the way, fully relaxed, and enjoy yourself. Now, before we move on to one of my favorite quality of life exercises, let's check out flexibility, because we'll only have two major goals in this one, which is posterior chain flexibility. Being able to touch your toes would be amazing. Being able to place your palms on the floor would be even better. And while you are there, why not work on getting into a complete pike position, getting your upper body into full contact with your lower body, so you have multiple steps to work on, because I doubt that you will be satisfied with just enough flexibility. As for anterior chain flexibility, we can also break it down into a somewhat beginner-friendly goal. With your lower legs in complete contact with the floor, you want to be able to lay down comfortably until your shoulders touch the floor, opening up your quads, your hip flexors, and your lower abdominals. But then, of course, we are missing a big part of our anterior chain, specifically going through our chest and our delts into our arms. And a good goal that takes that into account is the classic bridge pose or back bridge. Now actually targeting our entire anterior chain from our tibialis all the way up to our forearms. And since both the forward fold or the pike position and the bridge have a lot of moving parts, you will be improving all kinds of other aspects in your life. Moving us to the number one body tension and control exercise, I would highly advise anyone to do on a daily basis, because this will translate into pretty much every single other fitness aspect you have ever worked on. It is one of the easiest looking exercises. It is by far one of the hardest exercises that I do regularly. Moving through it step by step, we're gonna start by pointing our toes, flexing our foot musculature, pushing our legs together, flexing our adductors, extending our knees as far as possible, flexing our quads, and now we have an insane amount of tension in our lower body. And now comes the actual hard part. While keeping this the same way it is, we want to start tilting our pelvis until our lower back is in full contact with the floor below us. And we're gonna do the same thing for the rest of our upper body, pushing our shoulders and chest down while lengthening our arms and pressing our hands into the floor until every single inch of our body is in complete contact with the floor. And then the goal is holding this position for 60 seconds with complete tension. And I can guarantee you, if you try this now and if you can hold it perfectly for 10 seconds, hell, 5 seconds, you have way more control over your body than probably 99% of classic gym goers. This exercise will help you perfect your form when it comes to strength exercises like the deadlift, help you perfect your form in any sort of calisthenics exercise that requires even a modicum amount of full body tension or control, help you get rid of lumbar mobility and pelvic mobility problems such as falling too much in anterior or posterior pelvic tilt, while strengthening your spinal erectors and your glutes, which are responsible for hip extension, and doing all of that while recruiting motor neurons in your entire musculature, effectively helping you with coordination in every single muscle. And this moves us to the Agility King, an exercise that I would highly recommend you if you have legs. Of course, I'm talking about standing vertical leap or box jumps, not only working with both feet, but also single-sided box jumps. For one, because as we age, we barely jump around anymore, and frankly, I miss that from my school years, but also because adding explosivity is by far one of the best ways to add some agility and to add real athleticism. Not only is this exercise also a lot of fun to do, but it is very easily scalable. Once again, all we need to do is increase our elevation for a longer range of motion, a higher vertical leap, and over time, you will become very proficient in doing those high jumps from a standing position. And since we're mostly working on fast twitch muscle fibers, this exercise can also help you build a lot of size if that is one of your goals, and having way more control over your leg musculature through fast movement patterns. When it comes to cardio, the most important thing is sustainability and frequency. And while running a 5K is somewhat easy, especially if you do it regularly, chances are you won't want to do it every single day. But walking, there is a sustainable cardio goal, working your way up to 8,000 steps a day. And when I say work your way up, I actually mean that. Progress slowly, even though walking is a low impact exercise. If you're used to walking 1,000 steps a day, increase that by 100 steps every single week. You have all the time, and that goes for every single one of those goals. And trust me, I know 8,000 steps does sound like a lot until you actually get up there, and then you will notice that it is pretty sustainable to do this every single day, even in the days where you're usually not leaving your home. Not to mention that walking, apart from all of those cardio benefits that we get over time, is really good for our minds and our psyche. Get out there, walk around, see some nature, enjoy yourself. There are studies showing direct correlation between going for walks and happiness. Just go walk a little bit and you will be a little bit happier. That sounds to me like a non-brainer. Now, all of these exercises are life goals, thresholds and approximations, meaning you can definitely go above them, you can stay below them if you're not really interested in one of those aspects, but putting all of them together will help you have a somewhat more holistic fitness experience, a somewhat more healthy journey of aging, and a way higher quality of life if you are only doing gym stuff. With that said, I'll probably see you very soon. Until then, have a good one. Captain Cairo, peace out.